Another point I wanted to clarify, what we said last week, this distinction between this understanding, why this is so revolutionary, this understanding of what we call the divine ideals as opposed to talking about God. Other religions or some other people discuss the divine, how great He is, how amazing. And we don't talk about God. We don't mention God, so to speak. We mention the words, but even that we know it's not Him. We don't talk about Him per se. Rather, the divine ideals, like I said, the ladder that He lowered into our world and how it's translated, and we can cling to that ladder of life. Right? What the rabbis say, halachta b'drachav, the pasuk, right? You should walk in His ways. How do you cling to Him? He's beyond any conception, but rather He lowered the ladder and enabled you to link, halachta b'drachav, to go in His ways. But it seems other people are discussing the divine, the essence, the otherworldly, which seems more lofty, more spiritual, more religious. And we're talking about do's and don'ts. We're talking about how the Torah is translated to this world in practical expression. But like we said, and this distinction is very important, I want to mention today, just clarify that point, between talking about the essence, the divine that people talk about maybe, or what we call the divine ideals, His ways, His good, His translation, the way He translated His goodness to us, enables us to cling and to live it here. Because when you discuss the divine, so we said that's far off. It's far off in heavens. God is something unlivable. There are people that have these religious experiences. Non-Jews, right? There's, I think, Dostoevsky, whatever, has some image of... Anyway, this guy has some spiritual vision, experience. Jews, non-Jews. And then what? How do you live that? What do you do with that now? How do I run my life accordingly? Now what? The God is there and I'm here. And how do I attach that? So you seek the essence. You're looking for, how can I get to you, God? And we talk about that, how that causes this frustration, the inability to get, this angst of reaching the unreachable. So man makes his own system of ideas of what it is to be good, because they assume, what is God? The good and moral. So we make these systems of what we think is good and proper. That's the whole book of the Kuzari, right? Your intentions are good, but your actions, but your actions are no good. You have good ideas. You want to get to the divine, and you want to run your life. We're talking about honest, good people that really earnestly want to run their lives according to the divine good, to attach. But how do you attach to the unattachable, to the transcendent, beyond the undefinable? So they make definitions and lower the divine with human terms. So they talk about Him. They talk about God and His greatness and His power and His strength, and He punishes and He can do, and He's all strong, and you better be careful. But it ends up, like I said, so far off from life, so detached from life. He's up there, and your life, it's an enemy, so to speak, this malignant demon. You have to be at best a servant to this Martian that you realize there is this Martian that controls the world, and you have to do what he says or else. That's not exactly an exhilarating experience, a life uplifting experience. One, because those morals that you make, your own human morals, one, they won't stand in the face of different, all the vicissitudes of life and the uprisings of different lusts and desires and inclinations. And man has certain other bodily forces that pull him to animalistic functions. But you have to do what you're supposed to do. We have to live in this world with the bodily functions. That's not by mistake. But not to be subordinate, not to be a servant to them, to uplift them, to refine them, and to use them, that a human uses them properly. But there's times that we know we have a yetzer hara, we have this inclination, and then with all the human morals that you said, your ways to justify and rationalize doing certain activities. We talk about in the name of God, what people have done, how many inquisitions and holocausts and pogroms, etc., throughout history. In the name of religion, but also on the individual level. You did something, I didn't steal, it was different ways to justify, to rationalize, because human morals are, again, man-made. You make them and you can also break them, you also explain them. But also, these man-made morals won't bring you closer to God. It's like people digging a tunnel. They want to reach two people digging a tunnel. And you start digging, but if you don't coordinate it, you can just dig your tunnel one direction, but there's no guarantee that you'll meet. You have your ideas of where to find God. You start digging or climbing, whatever, for this metaphor. But who says God is at the other end? It's your man-made fiction, fantasies, imaginations of where God is. He must be there, He's there. Where is He? Which way are you going? What is good? What is proper? But God, I said, lowered the ladder. We don't talk about Him, this abstract being that we have no connection to, that He's, and we make all these human definitions and human conceptions. But rather, the divine like the Kuzari explains, that He lowered that ladder. He prescribed and described for us how to meet Him. I'll tell you where to meet me. I'll tell you how to come down and cleave, and then you're really clinging to me, because like I said, you're cleaving to those divine ideals that this is where I'm at. This is my good, not in the other planet that you can't get to, but the good that is revealed in this world. And there's levels and levels. Like I said, as you rise up in your life, you're constantly getting closer to the divine.